Hey, Galax here. So, um, I've made a few mistakes in my life, and none as big as wasting a YouTube superstar's time. And so we're gonna waste it a little bit longer here. Bengal generously decided to re-record this, and we had like this is the third time we've done this actually, to pull the veil back. Bengal, how you doing?
Swell.
Good.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, it's gonna be perfect. It's got to be. Um, I'll just give a little history of and say what our exercise is, and then we'll get into it. Basically, in MUT, there are mock drafts that you look at right here, and then you put
You
the
have
position.
28 million coins.
What's that?
Is that 28 million? I'm not
Yeah,
much of
I got
a
I got way
numbers
more in
guy,
my
but
binder and my thing. There's been a lot of glitches in MUT this year. It's been very easy to make coins. Um,
interesting.
but anyways, we go ahead and we're gonna predict, and if we get certain things correct, if we get certain things correct, right? These are our rewards. Basically, if we get all 14 of 14 picks, we get everybody that follows us, right? All BND NFL Draft Pass champions and heroes, plus 8 of the 32 first round draft players. So kind of important when we get 14 out of 14. It's going to be very hard, but we're well practiced at this exercise. So if you guys recall last year when me and Bengal did this, we got 13 out of 15 correct. So we were like, just a couple short. And if Bengals Giants would have switched their picks around, we would have had 15. We would have been number one in the community. So close, Bengal. Have you made inroads to the Giants front office so you know more about what they're going to do this year?
Yeah, I'm clearly somebody with my finger on the pulse. And GM Joe Shane called me and said, yeah, and he lied to me last year. He told me that he was going to take Evan Neal first and then Kayvon Thibodeau, and that's why we had that predicted.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can't trust anybody in this business, clearly.
It is smokescreen season, isn't it?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
when there's smoke, there's fire. And when there's fire, I think you win Survivor. Is that do people know about that? I
Yeah.
don't know.
As long as they don't put out your torch, you're all good. So, let's set fire to this mock draft, and so we're just predicting positions to pick number. We don't worry about the team so much. The team's obviously factoring a lot, but let's go through it. Bengals kind of got it down a little bit here in the third time through. So who's number one, Bengal?
We're gonna go Bryce Young. That seems to be where things are pointing right now. And what we talked about earlier is how things now shake up quite a bit because the Texans, it seemed like really, really like Bryce Young. And if you're going to take a quarterback, you want to get the one that you really, really like. And if that guy's not available, it gets a little bit tougher. Now, they still could take a quarterback. They're being linked to Will Levis right now. But I do think there's a scenario where they choose to just go best player available and say, hey, we're still going to be bad. We'll get a pick next year and readdress and reassess if we want to take a quarterback. So they definitely still could go QB. But in this scenario, we're going to be passing on quarterback for, yeah, Alabama's Will Anderson Jr. But it very easily could be a quarterback here, for sure.
Yeah, because like during our last one, we talked a lot about through these scenarios and everything, and like you said, Caleb out of USC is better than all these quarterbacks.
It's true. Yeah, he's pretty special.
Yeah. So Will Anderson at two is a solid pick. These teams lie so much. Do you think is Houston looking to trade this though, and could somebody trade it for quarterback? Because they're not going to trade it obviously to the Colts, but anybody else like down the board that may just do it and just take a quarterback instead?
Yeah, I think they could. It's just a question of who's wanting to move up and would the Texans be willing to move, however far down. You look at the Colts, not going to trade in division. Cardinals obviously would not move up to two. Then you get to Seattle at five. And, they are a potential team that could take a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to move up for one. Same thing with the Lions. There is potential that they could go QB despite the fan base's wishes. But I don't think they would trade up for one. I think
Okay.
it's the Raiders at 7 and it's Tennessee at 11 where you start to look at the trade ups. And are the Texans a team that want to pick at number 2 and 12 or 11 and 12? And I think I find that a little bit harder to believe. So maybe the Raiders, but I think that trade spot's going to be number 3, not number 2.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, you could go wild and like maybe Tampa offers like the next three first round picks of theirs and trades all the way up from 19. What
I
is
don't
that
think so.
solution? What does that look like?
I think that's too far down. I think it's too far down. I don't think the Cardinals or Texans would be interested in that,
Huh.
especially when you have an organization like the Cardinals that has really set themselves back under former general manager Steve Keim. They are not in a position to compete, in my opinion. I know, like 2 years ago, they made the playoffs and they got blown out by the Rams, right? And that Rams team, similar one, struggled this year, to say the least.
Injuries
I think the
happen.
Cardinals could move down, though.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to predict a massive trade up here. Not quite so much to 19. It's just too many spots for a top five pick. But I think to 11, that's
Okay.
like as far as a team might go. And Tennessee's somebody that could absolutely move up for a quarterback and is apparently one to keep an eye on. So I think it's either going to be the Raiders at 7 or Tennessee at 11. But I do think a team's going to move up to number 3 for a quarterback.
Okay. All right. I'll draft the quarterback at 3 then. This
Yeah,
is
so we
good.
don't have the Cardinals going QB, but that's that big trade spot is that third pick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if Texans don't take a quarterback, which would be huge because I know like quarterback is like the Vegas probably favorite for Texans. But then Stroud goes there because like the theory around that we've mentioned in the last two, and I'll mention it again so I can seem like I'm the one is like you want to build the roster out around the quarterback, then take it so that way you have a strong roster so you don't throw them into the wolves right away.
It's a way to do it. You know, teams go back and forth depending on how it happens. If the guy is good enough, you take it when you can get
Yeah.
it, right?
But
But if they're not in love, you could look to go a different way. And
yeah.
I think in a scenario where the only the top two quarterbacks you might say are off the board at 4, I think the Colts are absolutely going to be a QB team. So Richardson or Levis, I think the Colts will take a quarterback.
Okay. All right. Got quarterback the Colts. We got Seahawks at number 5.
We're gonna go with Jalen Carter here. I think his window's anywhere from 5 to about 10. Very, very good player. Off-field concerns. You wonder when a team's gonna take a chance on him. I think 5 is where that starts. But I think the Seahawks are a really good fit. Multiple first-round picks, multiple swings, potentially hit home runs there in the first round. So they just might view this one as, they got it from Denver via the Russell Wilson trade. They might view this one as playing with house money, right? So you can afford to take a chance on a
Yeah.
potential concern if he might end up being a top 5 player at his position. So Jalen
Because
Carter at 5.
many draft analysts say he's just the best player in the draft.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. It just depends what you want. And he offers pass rush from the interior, which is somewhat rare, and is really, really strong at the point of attack too. Can hold up the run. He's a complete player.
So we're gonna predict he's 5 to Seattle. Defensive interior for that one. So we got Detroit at 6 then.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about them taking the best corner on the board here, whether that's Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez, who I slightly prefer. I do think it's going to end up being a corner. And, it's maybe a quarterback spot, too. I think that's going to be the dark horse team inside the top 10 that could take a QB,
Yeah.
but not in this particular scenario. And that leaves a QB on the board at 7
I got a question
for
about
the
Detroit.
Raiders
Quick.
or a team moving up.
Got a question. I want to see your experience. Or what you thought. Jeff Okuda. Do you think he was always trash, or do you think he struggles as a rookie, and then the Achilles and like losing the Achilles like killed him, right? What do you think? Like, is that why he got traded? Is like he just no longer has that explosiveness because it's such a devastating injury?
Well, he actually wasn't so bad last year. He's never been a guy with like big time speed, and especially long speed. He can win in other ways. Really good press corner at Ohio State, but obviously struggled heavily in his first year before injury, and was actually a decent player last year. I think they've had a couple of different DB coaches too, which that's tough for any young player. I just think it was a situation where they're like, we're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. We don't really view that as being worth it because he was, the number 3 overall pick, I want to say, and it's pretty expensive to put a 5th-year option on a corner like that. So if they don't view that as cost effective and just say we're going to take a corner at 6, or I think they pick at 18, you could absolutely trade Jeff Okuda and say we brought in a couple different DBs in free agency. We're going to draft a corner. We know that going in. The top corner should be available at 6 to us. So they get their pick here. And I think if they don't take a corner at 6, I think they will at 18. I think they're taking a corner first round. So I just don't think Okuda fit into their long-term plans.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, appreciate the explanation because that's something I was wondering. Is like it seems weird to give up on a guy coming off an injury after drafting him so high, but you're just thinking it's expensive, and then Jared Goff's got that big contract, so it makes sense. All right. Sorry to distract us. Back to the exercise. Raiders here at 7.
Another quarterback.
Quarterback. Perfect.
Yeah, I think even if there's a trade that happens, I think seven's a pretty safe spot for a quarterback inside that top 10. I do think four are going to go inside the top 10. There could be a slide. I think if Will Levis or Anthony Richardson are available at 11, it wouldn't shock me. But we do have the Titans trading up, and that kind of sets things into motion a little bit. Quarterback's the most valuable position. Teams get desperate, and they usually don't do what happened last year, where only one quarterback goes inside the top 20 with the Steelers taking Pickett. Usually they go pretty high. It's just too valuable of a position.
Because we said this during the greatest video of all time. This is just a tribute. That how much is Anthony Richardson a lot like Malik Willis at like a media creation, and the frenzy around is insane. What he looks like is athletic profile Richardson, a little bit taller, whatever. But how much is Richardson? Maybe he got hyped late into the process too. How much is that into it?
I don't know that he
actually
did really
slide like Willis.
I think he was somebody that preseason you could have seen going in the first round. I think if you look at my way too early mock draft, self-promotion, you do. I think I do have Anthony Richardson going very high. I think I had Seattle taking him pre-Geno Smith mania. So the hype with Anthony Richardson is there's never been a quarterback with his mold of size, speed, and overall athletic ability. He's got a cannon, and I know a common argument to that is, well, that's great. He doesn't play receiver, doesn't play defensive end. We want somebody that's smart, upstairs, and that's accurate consistently. I think he is smart. He was just in a weird kind of RPO heavy offense at Florida under Billy Napier, very run heavy as well. But I think he is accurate. He's just inconsistent. I think when you talk about somebody being inaccurate, you talk about missing so many throws, and not able to make that tough one. But he showcases a ton of times where he's able to make a difficult throw and just drop it in there. Receivers did him no favors at Florida, and neither did the offensive structure. I think his adjusted completion percentage, if you're caring about that, is 63 or 64%, which I don't know if people are really going to be talking badly about that number the way they are about a number in the 50s. But I'm not really too concerned with that. He's a one-year starter. With Anthony Richardson, you're banking on traits and potential. And I think he's shown the ability to read defense as well. And he's someone who's super new to the position, really. I think he's only got 400 career pass attempts. So he's shown flashes, and I think he's somebody that I would bet on. Now, is he a risk? Absolutely. Quarterbacks just statistically do not pan out in the NFL. It's very rare to hit on them. Yeah. So if you're going to take a swing, I think Richardson is worth it. The upside's fantastic.
What is the chance that he hits his upside? Is 10%?
I mean, you can say that about any quarterback, right? But I don't know. It's a tough thing to gauge because situation is everything at this position. Yeah. If Patrick Mahomes goes to Chicago and they don't take Mitch Trubisky in that draft, is Patrick Mahomes unbelievable? We can say that he would be because of his, otherworldly ability throwing the football and blah, blah, blah. But his development under Andy Reid in that offense and having a nice safety net like Travis Kelce, I think was critical in his development. You look at Josh Allen. He reworked his throwing mechanics in Buffalo. I think Jordan Palmer, who was not with the team, helped him out with that as well. So Josh Allen's a guy who, how could you predict him to be this good? He went top 10. I didn't see the vision at the time. I thought he was not good. Yeah. And I think Richardson is a better prospect than Josh Allen was. But I think with quarterback, they have such a high bust rate that, you can afford to take a chance on the higher upside guy because the lower upside guy who might be better might not work out anyways. Look at Josh Rosen in that same 2018 class. Look at how many people thought Sam Darnold was going to be unbelievable.
Yeah. Zach Wilson.
It's never been good. Zach Wilson is another example. Quarterback is a very tough position to predict.
I agree. So the swing for the fences is what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah, I like him. I recognize that, there's a good chance he doesn't work out in the league, but it also wouldn't shock me to see him become a superstar.
You've also been biased by Wheels, who's a huge Florida Gator fan.
Yeah, of course. I base all my opinions off
Oh,
what Wheels
Wheels. Yeah.
thinks.
I mean, peer pressure, right? You're the average of your five closest friends.
There
All
you
right,
go.
let's move on to the Falcons. What do we got here?
I like edge here. I like Tyree Wilson. I think it could be a corner if you want to go a different direction, but I like edge. Maybe it's Nolan Smith, but I think Tyree Wilson is probably the guy here.
Huh?
I would be surprised if he went out of the top 10. Could
What
happen, but I'd be
I
surprised.
I haven't watched a single second about Tyree Wilson. Who does he comp to in the pros?
Um, I haven't really thought about that. He's very, very big, very long arms, good athlete. I would say, maybe, I mean, people aren't going to be like super happy about Marcus Davenport, but I mean, he's been a decent player when he's healthy.
I mean, just
But I
salty.
think he's one that kind of stands out.
They traded up so much
Um,
for Davenport more than how bad he's played, right?
yeah, I mean, he's on Minnesota now. He got, I think, like 14 mil, but he's had a really high pass rush win rate. He just has struggled to stay on the field.
Yeah. All right, Chicago.
Chicago, I think, is going to be a tackle. I think Paris Johnson makes the most sense for them
I'm hearing
from
rumors that
Ohio
people want to
State.
like trade up super high to draft a tackle, but like I don't know. I saw it on Twitter by like one of the people I follow, and like it seems weird because like there doesn't seem to be like a generational tackle this draft, is there?
There was going to be Olu Fashanu from Penn State
Yeah, he went back.
is or was the best tackle prospect in this class, and then decided that he wanted to finish school like a nerd.
Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with that? Somebody put him in a locker. What a nerd.
Yeah, next year's tackle class looks pretty good.
Does it?
This one is okay, but it's another valuable position. These
Yeah.
guys are going to end up going pretty high. I think, 7 is when it starts. I'd be surprised to see any of the top 6 take a tackle. But Raiders, maybe Dark Horse Falcons, although I doubt it. And then Bears, Eagles even could. Even I know Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, but Lane Johnson's not getting any younger. You could take a guy like Peter Skoronski at 10, play him at guard right away, and then maybe kick him out to tackle if you need to. So that's valuable. Teams think like that. But yeah, 11 is a huge spot for a tackle. 13, 14,
I
a
mean,
lot of tackles
okay.
go, but I think 10 is going to be an edge.
I got a question. Okay, so this is an edge. So I just want to talk about the Bears for a second.
Sure.
Why the frick? Isn't everybody saying? Oh, you're saying it's edge. Why is everybody saying? They obviously need tackle, but like, didn't everybody like poop on the wide receivers last year? I mean, like, I know they got Claypool, but like, do you think they could go wide receiver potentially here at 9-2 or not?
I think they'd be a dark horse to take Jackson Smith and Jigba, but the counter to that is that there's not a receiver really worth taking at that spot.
Okay.
JSN's really awesome, but he's a slot receiver. It's typically not very valued by the league, even though we've seen some slot receivers go off. Ross St. Brown, Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Historically, Keenan Allen's been very good in slot. Even Justin Jefferson last year, I think, had a lot of slot reps and was pretty good, obviously, as you know. But yeah, they're a dark horse maybe to take a receiver. I just don't know if there's one worth taking. Too many question marks in this class. I think the value is further down the board. But with tackle, you need tackle badly. And is a receiving core that features DJ Moore now so bad?
Right.
DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. Yeah, it's
Right.
not amazing, but that's a pretty good one too.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Sealer
Yeah.
you guys got number 32 for Chase Claypool. Robbery.
It was our finest move so far as an organization under our new GM, Omar. So hopefully he keeps it up. We'll see. Number 11.
What a fleece. I mean, that's
okay.
crazy. Even if they don't even end up doing anything with 32, it's just the perceived value is wild.
Yeah, I mean, like when they traded, they were like middle of the first round. Like, didn't like Bears win like their first like couple games, then lose the rest of the season?
Yeah, they had that monsoon game against the Niners, which doesn't count, in my opinion. It's rigged. It is fake. And God
Yeah.
chose the Bears that day, if you want to say that. But yeah, dude,
Bears.
I remember trying to watch that game on TV. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see anything.
That was Hurricane Ditka right there. Came through and
It
won
was
that one.
unbelievable.
The soul of Chicago.
Yeah, I think at 11 here, we predicted a trade up either to the Raiders at 7-3, or the Titans at 11-3. I think offensive line is a good bet here, regardless.
Yeah.
Because Peter Skoronski could just be a great pickup for Arizona. And
Yeah.
their defense does need a lot of help, but they're also weak on the offensive line. But then if the Titans don't trade up, there's still a really, really, I would say, really strong possibility team to take an offensive lineman. And Skoronski could potentially play guard or tackle for them. Or if another tackle is available, like Broderick Jones, the Titans could take one there. So even with the trade down here, I just think an offensive lineman makes a ton of sense. Even with two edge rushers off the board, maybe that possibility is a little less. Could still be a corner if it ends up being Arizona, but I think tackle you got a pretty good chance of getting right at 11.
Yeah, that's I think a really good logic right there for that pick. Like, how many trades overall in like the first 14 picks do you see happening?
I think it was Josh Norris from Underdog that tweeted out and was tracking the number of top 10 trades during the draft that we've seen. And I think there were 0 last year. There was 1 the year prior. It actually doesn't happen quite so often.
Huh. Didn't we get, was it Minnesota? Then was that 11 last year?
Yes, because that was it was the Lions traded all the way up for Jamison Williams. I think it was 12.
12.
And they went back and I think they took Lewis Seen at something in the late 20s.
So it's not often we see, even though we remember the big picks, it's not often we see them. Like, remember like the trade up for Julio and some of those things that have happened in the past, but not much else. Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, the trades definitely happen. Here it is. 2022, 0 trades inside the top 10. 2021 had 1 trade inside the top 10. It was the Eagles moving from 12 to 10. Massive leap there.
Yeah.
2020 had 0 trades inside the top 10. And this is, again, once the draft started. And then 2019 had 1 trade inside the top 10. I think it was the Steelers moving up for Devin Bush from 20 to 10.
Yeah. Terrible. So stupid.
So it really, it's at least inside the top 10. It actually is pretty rare. We've seen it twice in the past 4 years.
That's a good stat. I didn't think it was that little, but I guess because we saw the trades this year and we've seen, so many of these.
Well, because we've seen it's kind of a cheating stat because we've seen teams trade up pre-draft somewhat often.
Yeah.
The Niners moved up. Obviously, this year the Panthers moved up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some pre-draft trades for sure.
That makes sense. But so we're kind of almost locked in. We'll see. Well, I guess over that we got a couple more days left. But all right, Texans at 12. Who they going for?
Yeah, I think this one could be an edge rusher if one's available, but I think we're going to go wide receiver here. I think JSN is a pretty good fit for them. They lost Brandon Cooks. That's not a one-to-one replacement. They're going to play essentially different receiver positions. But JSN's really good. Really good slot receiver. They brought in Robert Woods, who was a disappointment for Tennessee, but I think that's a great guy to learn from if you're JSN as well, and just a really nice option to upgrade the receiving core. But yeah, it'd be a little bit weird to see them not come away with a quarterback just because we've been so penciled in for that for some time now. But I think there's a real possibility from what I'm hearing. Stuff could change. It always does. But in a scenario where you pass on quarterback at 2, I don't think you take one at 12, especially with the top 4 off the board.
So next year is just going to be a crash for Caleb year.
Could be. And Drake May is very good too from UNC. I like Drake May a lot.
Couple
and then if Quinn Ewers from Texas plays well, you never know. But those top 2 quarterbacks I think would be 1 and 2 in this year's class, even ahead of Bryce Young.
Really?
Who I love. I love Bryce Young. I just think when you don't have to worry about the size limitation, it gets a little bit easier, and you don't really have to worry about that with May or Caleb. Caleb's a little bit smaller, and he's about 6'1", but who cares? He's like Aaron Rodgers is like 6'1", 6'2", so. Yeah, you don't need the 6'5", 6'6" guy all the time.
Yeah, you gotta know. You don't always need Big Ben back there or Josh Allen.
Exactly.
13 for the Jets.
I like tackle here a lot. Okay. I think it's offensive line all day. Could be an edge. I feel like you can say that for every pick just because that's such a valuable position,
Uh-huh.
and it's a pretty good class for him. It just kind of depends how it falls. But yeah, I would go tackle.
Okay, so go offensive line for that. Pick number 13 in our tokens. Number 14 in the last one, we got the Patriots.
Yeah, could be an edge. I think it'd be a tackle, receiver, or corner here. The Patriots kind of march to the beat of their own drum, so they're a little bit
Yeah.
tougher to predict, I would say. But with Christian Gonzalez on the board in this mock, or maybe even Devin Witherspoon, if Gonzalez is the first corner off the board, I would be surprised to see them not go corner if only one corner has been taken up to this point.
But the thing
Now
about the
we
Patriots
could see
is,
two inside the top 10, but didn't work out this way
yeah, the thing
this
about
time.
The Patriots always seem to turn like mid-round corners into like they're like the Patriots are the Pittsburgh Steelers of the cornerback as far as wide receivers to cornerback. Like they always seem to like turn mid-level guys into superstars. I guess they do draft some defensive backs high, haven't they?
The thing is they usually get value way down the board at corner. This is a team that loves to take a corner like first or second round. If you go back and look at their track record for second round corners, it is horrific. It is like bad player after bad player after bad
Really?
player. Yeah, in the second round, it is terrible.
Dang.
But they get value elsewhere.
Because was it Jones? He played pretty well for them this year.
Yeah, Jack Jones. Well, are you talking about Marcus Jones, like the slot receiver return man that also plays slot corner?
No, I guess Jones was. I was thinking of the corner. No.
Well, they both do, but I like Marcus Jones, the
Yeah.
Houston player that returns kicks that had like that really fun screen pass that he took for 50 in the I think it was a Monday night game. He also is named Jones in that back end, and they have Jonathan Jones.
I was thinking Jack, the rookie.
Well, Marcus Jones was also a rookie.
Wow. Too many Joneses.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the Joneses.
That's good. Yeah, they have three Joneses at corner right now. But yeah, Jack Jones played well, but he was a fourth round pick.
Yeah. As it feels like they seem to be able to do. But so we're just gonna do Christian Gonzalez here to the Patriots.
Yeah, I think they go a lot of different directions, but corner is not a bad bet for them.
Not bad at all at 14. Because also like if Patriots are at 14, doesn't Bill love trading down?
Yeah, historically they say that. It's not always true. That's like when they pick at the back end of the first round, I think it is quite true. But
Okay.
historically, like Mac Jones was obviously picked at number 15. Like they're not going to trade back out of a quarterback.
Yeah.
But they when they've had high picks, they've stayed there a lot. But they haven't always because they win the Super Bowl every year pretty much,
Yeah.
or at least used to.
I heard that like aren't there only 5 active quarterbacks of the Super Bowl? Something like that? Like
I mean,
Tom Brady
Brady's
just won too many of
gone.
them.
Rodgers, Wilson, Goff.
Jimmy G is a backup?
Yeah.
Wait, who did you list? You list Rodgers, Wilson, Jimmy G, Mahomes, and there's one more, I think.
Well, I said Jared Goff because he
Oh.
won one with the Rams, right?
Yes. Wait,
Or no, the Patriots won that.
that's Stafford. Stafford.
Oh yeah, Stafford. Well,
Yeah,
I was talking about the
I mean, there's
Rams
a lot of-
Patriots. I
there's a lot
just
of-
forgot the result of that game. Yeah, no, yeah. Hold on.
There's one more missing. There's like Foles or Wentz, right? 6?
Yeah, the Patriots won 13-3 that Super Bowl. Jesus.
But I guess
Yeah, Foles won one.
but I guess Jimmy G was a backup, so he doesn't count. So that's 5
Yeah, he
without
was.
Jimmy G. So you're right. The Patriots just won too much. Those
Yeah.
jerks. 5 active quarterbacks that were starters for a Super Bowl.
The thing is, you look at Super Bowls over time. It's so funny how often not a great quarterback is playing in that game for either team.
Yeah, I mean,
Way more often than you'd think.
like historically, absolutely. More recently, there has been a few. You're right. What other backup quarterbacks have played in the Super Bowl? Foles.
Recently,
Yeah, I think like obviously like the Colts back in the day where they went down and I forgot the backup quarterback behind.
well, the Dolphins did it with Earl Morrall
Yeah,
instead
Morrill.
of Bob Greasy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. There's been a few of them. Yeah, you're not wrong. But
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at it by year, I mean, Nick Foles, um, I mean, Colin Kaepernick started the Super Bowl. I know he's thought of weirdly, but Jimmy G started the Super Bowl as well. Joe Flacco obviously had that great run, but he wasn't anything special for his career. Eli Manning, you could say similar things about.
wow,
Even though
slander.
I mean, Eli
Dilfer.
Eli was clutch when he had to be, but the defense is a big part of those Super Bowls.
I mean,
Rex Grossman obviously is a great example of a bad quarterback that played in the Super Bowl.
the Rams took like a grocery store employee to the Super Bowl.
That is true. He might have been a little bit better though.
Hey, Bengal, I appreciate it.
Brad Johnson, Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah.
It's been a few bad, but I mean, those have been legendary defenses. Some of those teams, though.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate you doing this for the third time with me.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah! All right,
Let me tell you something about mock drafts, brother.
it's just the season, dude. It's the season of drafts, and it's beautiful. You've done, how many?
This is not going to age well.
No.
Is what I predict. That's my big prediction.
You think
We'll
you
see.
think we'll never live up to last year?
I mean, dude, 13 out of 15 feels like a lot correct.
Well, last year we had more picks. To be fair, that was 13 out of 32 last year.
Oh.
Just nobody got more than 15 in the entire community.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
yeah.
I don't
not
know that
bad.
we're going 14 for 14 here. I think, you know what I think the number's going to be? I like 8.
I
I think
think
8 out of 14.
I think 8 seems fair.
Maybe 7.
What would that be? If we get 8, that means people just get a 93 overall draft player. Oh, that's terrible.
I feel like they've stocked it so it's basically impossible to get the good rewards.
Oh, it's mud. Of course, it's impossible.
This is BS, man. I'm going to a good game like MLB The Show.
Oh yeah. I know how
That's
much you
perfect.
love that gameplay.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Bengal.
Goodbye.